Celebrity, true or false?
You can't handle the truth.
Barry Levinson, true or false? Jack Nicholson, Robert De Niro, who you are directing in The Alto Knights, and Mel Gibson all turned down the part of Raymond Babbitt in Rain Man. Is that true?
Not that I know of.
Okay.
No.
So
when I came on to it,
there you go. That's false.
When
Okay.
I came on to it, there were three directors had started it and then dropped out.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I came on to it as the fourth director, and
won an Oscar.
yeah.
You're the fourth director, and then you won an Oscar for it, Barry.
The irony of it all is that my agent wanted me to meet with Sidney Pollack, who was unsure about, staying involved in the project.
Sure.
And so he asked me would I read it and then talk to Sidney about it, sort of encourage him. And I did actually have that meeting. But Sidney said, I just can't see, I can't see how they go across country together and spend that time. I don't know how that's going to work. And I was trying to convince him. My wife kept saying, you should do this movie. This is a perfect film for you to do. She would always be saying that. I said, no, but they didn't ask me to direct it. And then Sidney Pollack had dropped out. And then they came to me and said, if you want to take it over.
So I assume you definitely thanked your wife in your Oscar speech.
I certainly did.
Happy wife, happy life, Barry Levinson. True or false, Dustin Hoffman wanted out of Rain Man 3 weeks into principal shooting. Is that true? He was thinking it wasn't going well for him. Out.
He was nervous. I don't remember that he actually wanted to drop out of it.
So that's false. Okay.
But he was concerned, and that we sort of found something that he kind of connected to, and then that became at that point it sort of things settled in. But initially there was I'll give you an example.
Sure.
We have a scene when they're in a restaurant having breakfast, and I said we're doing the take, and he doesn't have any lines, but I said to him, Dustin, he seems boring. The character seems boring to me, And he said, "Well, yeah, but so what do I do?" I said, "Well, from all the research, that autistics they're busy in a way. They'll be looking up and how many lights are there and why is that light different from another light? Not talking it, just they're looking. They're busy on things like that." Mm-hmm. And so we said, "All right, let's do that." So we got to do the take. And then Dustin is looking and looking. It's all very convincing. And then Tom is saying something to him. He doesn't respond, and he doesn't respond. And I go, "All right, cut." I said, "Dustin, you have to respond to the line." He said, "I got so involved in looking at the things that I didn't hear him." I said, "Well, you have to hear him. Otherwise, we can't even have a conversation." So, all right. And so he said something, and I said, "Why don't you use that? So that at least you acknowledge she's there. You don't get into the conversation, but you acknowledge it." And that's where the thing that he does all through the film. He said, "Ray, do you want to so-and-so?" Yeah. You want to so-and-so? Yeah. But he's not really paying attention. It's like, you said that, but I'm busy. And that little teeny thing, in a sense, was sort of like the spark to really lock into the character.
Huh. And Wapner and Qantas and all that sort of stuff, and dropping the toothpicks on the ground. Just a real quick one more on this. Casting Tom Cruise, I just kind of recall at the time, Tom Cruise is more of a big tentpole, pop culture, big-time star. Maybe not particularly, with all due respect to him at the time. Like, let's put him in a serious role with Dustin Hoffman.
Well, he'd done a few things.
He'd done a few things, but just in terms of an Oscar type of film, was there any concern of casting Tom Cruise at the time at that point?
I never...
or was he always attached? Or
I never
like
gave it a thought. I thought, from our first meeting when I came aboard, I thought he could be really good.
When you cast Tom Cruise, when you
I didn't have to cast him; they were cast.
He was already there.
They were both involved.
Oh, that's right. That's right. You're the fourth director coming in.
I came into it very, very late in the process, and I just wanted to find a way for them to have to create certain connections, as small as they may be.
Yes.
And through the film, that you begin to see that Cruise is now paying more attention to his brother.
Yes.
And then getting more involved in it and more understanding of it. And that arc ultimately, came together and worked well.
Last one for you, Barry Levinson. True or false, you refused to let Robin Williams connect with Adrian Cronauer during the production of Good Morning Vietnam, and they, in fact, did not meet until the premiere of the film. Is that true?
I don't know. I mean, he wasn't there when we were shooting the film.
Oh, so, and it wasn't you saying, I don't want you to talk to him because what is out there is that you didn't want Robin to do an imitation of Cronauer. You just wanted Robin's interpretation of it.
Well, that part's true, but I don't think it was a conflict.
I see.
You're going to take Robin into this character, and then you want to design it in a way that he can. I'll just give you one.
Please.
I don't want to spend too much time on something, but what happened was, here's an interesting thing. That was the key to the film, where we have a scene where he's teaching the class of the Vietnamese, and it's just not working. It's just flat. They're trying to say the lines, they can't say the lines. It all feels fake. And so there's a moment I go, all right, we better stop. Let's stop filming. And so called a break. Everybody leaves, goes outside, wandering around. There's a courtyard, and I'm walking around. I don't know what to do here. I don't believe the scene at all. It doesn't feel credible. And I looked over, and I see Rob, and he's talking to the cast, the Vietnamese, and they're laughing, and there's a whole interaction. I go, oh, look how real that is. That's for real. Mm-hmm. And so I called him over, and I said, Robin, here's what we ought to do. I'm not going to slate this so they don't know that we're actually filming. And let's do what you're doing on the porch. And so the basic things, and we'll make like we're not filming, and we're just doing exactly what you were doing on the porch. It was a lot of improvisational moments, and you got their attention, and they'll talk, and they were laughing, and you go, all right, that would be believable. So we didn't slate it. We did everything with hand signals, so they didn't know what was going on. And so all of those scenes, there are certain story points we have to hit, but primarily it's Robin interacting with them, and that they're laughing at things, etc., and it all becomes very credible and real. And that was seeing how good Robin is talking to people and getting them involved. And so we were able to apply that to the film. And there's a scene, as an example in it, very late in the film, when we were using not softballs and baseballs, but something else. And the Vietnamese character came over to me. He says, I have seen a real, softball with my own eyes, and this is not a softball. And I said, I'm not in charge of the equipment. And he said, well, then who shall I speak to? He was very, very polite. And I said, Robin is in charge of all the equipment. And, so I immediately wandered over to Robin. I said, he's coming over. He's got a problem with the equipment, and have a conversation with him. And so he came over. And that conversation is... That actor is actually really discussing the problem with the equipment that we had, but that's what we filmed. So it's very credible into all the things that were going on during the game. And I said, here, let's not tell them what is first base or second base. Where they run wherever they go. And then we had 2 MPs that were there. So if they go to third base instead of first base, then you'll show them you got to go to first base. And so it had this looseness of they don't know how to play the game. And all of that stuff was just a kind of, play it by ear and let's see what happens.
Just wind up Robin Williams and let him go.
Let him go.
Give him the beats and say you do it.
And
right?
then deal with the other players as you can.
I love it. Catch the Rich Eisen Show live weekdays from 12 to 3 p.m. Eastern on Roku Sports Channel in the U.S.